When was the last time you received some bad news? Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Jones, the president of Discover Leadership Training, and welcome to the Come to the Edge Podblast. I am absolutely going to ask that you listen with the intent to be influenced for the next few moments, because I promise you that I am going to be pushing up against some of your BS today. And BS in the context of this conversation is belief system. So again, I would ask the question, and I want you to come up with whatever answer it is, whether it was a recent example or whether it was one that has occurred at some point in your past. And my question is, when was the last time you received some bad news or you experienced some bad news? So the point that I want to make now that you have identified something is that when we identify something as bad or negative or wrong, our energy and our actions are going to follow our thoughts. So as a result of that, whatever you focus on is exactly what is going to expand for you. So if the perspective that you have on an event that has occurred in your life is that it was bad news, or information that you received that it was bad news, that assessment of whatever happened is going to determine the energy and the actions or the perspective that is available to you. So what am I saying to you today? I'm saying that I do not believe that there is good news or that there is bad news. What I believe is that it is just news. When I make an assessment of it based upon my expectations, then I am now going to identify predictably how I am going to react or respond to the news. Now, what I'm saying to you is that sometimes things that appear to be bad news really are opportunities for us to become more aware of something that is right in front of us that we may not have been able to observe. And it might actually be an opportunity for us to get to something even better than what we were expecting or desiring in our own mind. I want to give you a couple of examples here. My 20-year-old stepson, Josh, was putting applications out all over the place for internships. And Josh had his heart set on some very specific opportunities and felt like that those would be the good news if he received those opportunities. Well, this took a lot longer as it relates to the process than Josh had an expectation that it was going to take. But because he stayed diligent and because he remained focused and patient, when the opportunity came along, it was better than the one that he expected. So initially, when he didn't get the one that he wanted, of course, he felt like he had received some bad news. But what he found was that by being patient, remaining focused on his outcome like he had been taught, he continued to move forward, and an opportunity came along that was better than the one that he felt like he wanted. Now, there are a lot of people right now, y'all, and I know that you can relate to this, that are receiving some news that they're being terminated from government jobs. And many of them, based upon some of the interviews that I've heard and seen, feel like that's bad news. What I want you to know is that as soon as you make an assessment of something that it is bad news, it is going to determine your energy and your actions. Because if the perspective that you have of it is that it's bad news, you see that as a negative. And negative energy will produce more negative energy. So what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to ascribe to a conspiracy theory that I have, not just for me, but I have this conspiracy theory for you as well. I believe that the universe is conspiring for your success. In other words, there is nothing wrong, there is nothing broken, and there is nothing that needs to be fixed. In the context of this conversation, I am going to say that it's just news. And if you look at it from a perspective that it is just what happened, but you have a very specific outcome to continue to focus on a positive step forward, then you will produce more positive. So I know that there are some things that have happened in some of y'all's lives, and you're probably sitting there looking at me kind of going like, bro, you don't understand. You don't know what I've been through. I'm going to tell you this. I don't know why whatever happened in your life happened. What I do know is that whatever it was, if you make the choice to remain focused on a positive, the truth is going to be revealed to you as it relates to how to transform that negative situation into a positive reality for you. So if you have recently lost your job, I believe that the universe is clearly saying that there is a better job or opportunity out here for you. Maybe it's starting your own business or writing that book that you've been contemplating writing for the majority of your life. Whatever it is, what I would absolutely tell you to do is to stop and absolutely be aware of whether or not you just assess that as bad news, because if you did, it is predictable the energy and the action that you possess in this moment as it relates to that. And I am so reminded of a story when I think about this that was so powerful to me. That was a gentleman that went through our program, and he said to me, Mike, when I was 21 years old, I got a DWI. And he said, I felt like that was really bad news. It was bad judgment on my part. It was a bad situation all around. But what I found was that DWI saved my life. It absolutely put me on a different track, a different trajectory as it relates to where I was headed in relation to my drinking and my behavior, that it completely transformed my trajectory and where I was going. So in the moment that he was arrested for DWI, that likely felt and seemed like bad news. But what he found ultimately, by remaining focused on a positive outcome and transforming that negative situation into a positive reality for himself, is that bad news became good news. So what I'm saying to you is, I don't know what you're going through, but I know that some of y'all are going through something. It may be a divorce. It may be an estranged child. I don't know what you're going through. But what I'm saying to you is that there is a universal conspiracy, and I believe it with my whole heart. And that conspiracy is focused on your success. So find a way to change your perspective of whatever just happened, and do not assess it as bad news or negative. Just see it as something that happened, and now identify how you can transform whatever that was into a positive moving forward. Thank you for taking the time to check in with us on this Come to the Edge Podblast. I truly hope that you benefited from this very powerful message this morning. And my message to you right now is that if you are not living your life out on that edge, then you are taking up far too much room.
Here we go now.